Hello students. In the previous class we have learnt about the some important liquid properties like surface tension, and we have always already studied about the intermolecular forces that operate between the water molecules, liquid molecules. Okay, and in this video now we are going to study about the one more important liquid property, that is the viscosity. We know very well that uh, all the liquids do not flow with the same speed. For example, we use the different types of liquids in our daily life. No, for example, we use water and honey. So, compared to the water, honey flows very slowly. That you know very well. So here, some forces must act in the honey, which decreases or retards the speed of the liquid flow. So, such type of property here is called as the viscosity. That means, for in a simple manner, we can say that viscosity is nothing but thickness of the liquids. Thickness of the liquids, and we know very well that all the liquids do not have the same thickness. For example, oil is a thick liquid compared to the water. That means the oil is more viscous than the water. In the similar way, in our chemistry laboratory, we use the sulfuric acid and phosphoric acids, glycerol and glycol. Glycerol almost looks like oil, and that means it is a more viscous liquid. And compared to the water and ammonia, the sulfuric acid is a very thick liquid. It flows very slowly. So that's why we can say that sulfuric acid is um, more viscous than the ammonia and the water. So here in a simple manner we can say that viscosity is the property of the thickness. Here, uh, for example, here in the different water bottles, we have to take water, corn syrup, oil, and honey. In order to understand this concept, comparative understanding for the viscosity, we have to choose these different liquids, and we have to throw the what is it, glass beads or some spears, metal spears in them. Some small size metal spears to uh, add to these liquids, and we may observe that the spears, these small size metallic spears or the glass beads, do not travel with the same speeds. For example, in this diagram, compared to the water, in the corn syrup, the movement of the spear is slow. In the similar way, it is still slower in the oil, and it compared to the oil in honey, the movement of the metallic spears or the glass beads is very slow. That means honey is more viscous, uh, that means thick liquid than the other liquids. So in a simple manner we can say that viscosity is nothing but the thickness of the liquid. So here actually we can think, or we can consider a liquid as a compile of many layers. So here in this one, what happens when we uh, make the liquid to flow, then all the layers of the liquid do not flow with the same speed. For example, assume this as the glass, okay na? And assume that some half of the glass is filled with the water, okay na? If we bend this glass slightly, then what happens? Water flows and falls from the glass. Here, if we completely turn down the glass, still we get the some water. That means some portion of the water should be attached to the walls of the container, and water falls from the glass from the middle position. Okay, na? So that by this we can say that the flow of the speed of the central layer is more than the speed of the layers that are attached to the walls of the container. So these layers are fast moving layers, faster layers, and these layers are slower layers. And we can say that all the layers do not move or flow with the same velocity. Okay, same velocity. And here mm, we can say that each layer offers some resistance on the other layers which are adjacent to it. For example, as in this is the side center layer, no? So this offers some resistance on the above layer as well as on the below layer. So such type of resistance or such type of force that is offered by one liquid layer on the other liquid layers here can be defined as the viscosity. So the force of what is it, friction that is applied by one layer on the other layers other layers which are adjacent to it is known as the viscosity. Okay, I say once again, the frictional force applied by the one of the liquid layers on the adjacent layers to it is known as the viscosity. The more specific definition here we are having: viscosity of a liquid is defined as its property by virtue of which it tends to oppose the relative motion between its different layers. So like that we define the viscosity. Viscosity of a liquid is defined as its property by virtue of which it tends to oppose the relative motion between its different layers is here called as the viscosity. Now actually it's very difficult to measure the actual viscosity, but we can measure the viscosity coefficient. So for that we derive an equation. Here viscosity is measured in terms of viscosity coefficient. And what is viscosity coefficient, let us understand, and let us derive an equation in order to calculate that viscosity or viscosity coefficient. Okay, so actually here viscosity means nothing but force applied by one layer on the other layers. Okay, and here for example assume that the distance between the two layers is the dx. Okay, ax is the distance and distance between any two small adjacent layers is the dx. Assume like that. Okay, na? And we know very well that all the layers do not move with the same speed, no? So the ratio between the difference in the velocity and the distance between the layers is known as the velocity gradient. So this ratio between the change in the difference in the velocity and the distance between the layers, difference in the velocity to the, this is the difference in the velocity of the layers, and this is the distance between the layers. So ratio of these two terms here defined as the velocity gradient. Okay, velocity gradient means the ratio of change in the velocity of the two layers with the uh, distance between them is called as the velocity gradient. Okay, now look here, and here we use for the velocity gradient we are using the minus symbol because the faster moving layer decreases the speed of the slower moving layer, no? So that's why when we apply this equation on the slower moving layer we are using the minus symbol. So here we have to understand that we are going to derive equation which is applicable on the slower moving layer. Okay, if the surface area of the fast moving layer is A, then what happens? The force acting on the slow moving layer is F is proportional to the surface area and the velocity gradient. Velocity gradient. So the viscosity here is defined as the frictional force, no? That frictional force F is proportional to the surface area of the slow moving layer and the velocity gradient, that is minus dv by dx. So here F is proportional to the minus a into dv by dx. dv by dx is the velocity gradient, a is the area of cross section. Okay na? So if you remove the proportionality we have to put one constant. That constant here is called as the neta n. Okay na? And here we call it as the coefficient of the viscosity. And if you write this equation in terms of the viscosity coefficient, then the equation becomes as like this. Look here, neta is equal to the F by A, force upon area, into dx by dv. So this, by using this equation we can calculate the viscosity coefficient. Okay, now we go for the units of the viscosity coefficient. First we go for the viscosity units in the CGS system. In the CGS system, unit for the force is the dyne, and the unit for the distance or length is centimeter, and unit for the area is centimeter square, and unit for the velocity is centimeter per second in the CGS system. So here on cancelling the similar terms we get dynes into second into centimeter all to the power of minus 2. So this is the unit for the viscosity coefficient in the CGS system. Now we go for the viscosity coefficient in the SI system or MK system. In MK system or in the SI system, Newton is the unit for the force. So we write N, capital N. Newton is represented with the capital N. And meter is the unit for the distance in the SI system. So we write M. So for the area it becomes as the meter square, and for the velocity it becomes meter per second. That means meter into second to the power of minus 1. Okay. Other Newton can be also written as the kg per meter, kg into meter per second square, kg into meter per second square. Like that also we can represent. So on cancelling the similar terms we get kg into meter inverse into second inverse, kg per meter per second. So that is the SI unit for the viscosity coefficient. In the CGS system, in the serious system, units for the viscosity coefficient is dyne into second into centimeter, dyne into second into centimeter to the power of minus 2. Otherwise, dyne into second per centimeter square. Dyne into dyne into dyne into second per centimeter square. And in the MKS unit, the MKS system, the units for the viscosity is kg per meter per second. Kg per meter per second. Now we go for the experimental determination of the viscosity. Here, viscosity means nothing but viscosity coefficient only, because we express the viscosity in terms of viscosity coefficient. Okay. So here, generally, the absolute viscosity coefficient is determined by the Poisson-Willis equation. Poisson-Willis equation, and that equation is neta is equal to the 5 into r to the power of 4 t into p by 8 VL. So here in Poisson-Willis method, what we do means we take a glass tube like pipette, and we take the liquid with the glass tube like pipette, and we allow the liquid to fall through the nozzle of the glass tube, and depending on the hydrostatic pressure and depending on the viscosity, liquids flow with different speeds, no? And we calculate the volume of the liquid flowing through the glass tube in a specified time, and we use this equation, and we calculate the viscosity coefficient. Here, R means the radius of that glass tube that we use, radius of the glass tube, and T is the time. Okay, no? For how long we are doing the experiment is here expressed in terms of time T, and P is the hydraulic pressure. Okay, no? Pressure exerted by the liquid in the glass tube. And L is the length of the tube. L is the length of the tube. V is the total volume of the liquid flowing through the glass tube. V is the total volume. T is the time in seconds. And P is the pressure. P is the pressure. And L is the length of the glass tube. But this method is not appropriate, and it is a cumbersome process, because it is not easy to measure the hydraulic pressure exactly. So that's why what we do means we go for the another method, comparison method. In this method, we use the Ostwald viscometer. Ostwald viscometer. And here we compare viscosity coefficient of a known liquid with the viscosity coefficient of the another liquid, and we came to know the viscosity coefficient of the unknown liquid. So here we write the two equations like this for the two liquids. Okay, neta 1 is the viscosity coefficient of the liquid 1, and neta 2 is the viscosity of the second liquid. Okay, na? So when we compare these two, we get neta 1 by neta 2 is equal to T1 into P1 by T2 into P2. Here P2, P1 are the hydrostatic pressure, and we know very well that hydrostatic pressure is directly proportional to the density of the liquids. So in the place of the hydrostatic pressures, we can write the densities. Here densities are represented with rho. what is that? Yes, yes, we row rightly densities. So then the equation becomes as neta 1 upon neta 2 is equal to the T1 into rho 1 by into T1 into rho 1 upon T2 into rho 2. So this is the simple equation that can be used when we do the experiments by using the what is that Ostwald viscometer. Okay. Here we in this second equation, what is that? In this equation, we don't have any density term. Okay, na? So yes, here Ostwald viscometer is a U-shaped glass tube. Here it has two bulbs A and B. A and B. So here what do we do means before doing the experiments, we wash the Ostwald viscometer very well with the chromic acid. Then after we wash with what is that water, and after that we dry it for some time. Okay, na? After complete drying, what we do means we take the liquid and we put that liquid into the bulb B, and we we suck that liquid taken in the bulb B into the bulb A by using a rubber stocking. So when we use the rubber stocking here, we keep the Ramachandra Prabhu rubber stocking here, here is it here, and we suck it and we drag the liquid up. For example, consider it as the mark A and it as the mark B, and this is very narrow tube. That means it is nothing but a capillary tube only. And that means its size is very much, radius is very much compared to the comparable to the what is that capillary tube. Okay, so here from the bulb B we suck the liquid up to mark A, up to the mark A by using the rubber stocking. Okay, na? Rubber pipings. And then after what we do means we release the pressure and we allow the liquid to fall from mark A to the mark B. Mark A to the mark B. And we note down the time taken for that one. Okay. So in the similar way, we do the same thing with the second liquid also. With the second liquid also. And we note down the time taken for the second liquid also. After that, by using this equation 2, we can calculate the viscosity coefficient of the liquid by using the viscosity coefficient of the known liquid. Okay, so this is very simple method. So here in Ostwald viscometer method is a simple method compared to the Poiseuille's method. Now we go for the factors that affect the viscosity. Okay, here first of all we go for the effect of the temperature on the viscosity. We know very well that in our daily life, when thick liquids are heated, they become thin. That is our daily experience. Okay, so that why viscous liquids change into thin liquids on heating is explained very well by the Hole theory. Hole theory. According to Hole theory, what happens means liquid contains liquids contain some holes in them, okay, because here liquid molecules are not arranged so closely compared to the solid molecules. No? So we can say that in the liquids, some empty spaces are present according to the whole theory. That means the distance between among the gas molecules is somewhat greater. No. So when we increase the temperature, what happens means the speed of the liquid molecules increases, kinetic energy increases. As a result, the molecules go into those liquids, and as the volume of the liquid changes, the number of holes also increase. As the gas molecules go into the holes, the density decreases. As a result, the thickness decreases. So, like this, whole theory explains why the viscosity of the liquids decrease with the increase in the temperature, and a equation is proposed to explain the relation between the viscosity coefficient and the temperature. So here, this is the equation that explains the relation between the viscosity coefficient and the temperature. A is constant and capital E is activation energy, R is universal gas constant, and T is the temperature. So the value of the viscosity here can be easily understood by taking the temperature. Here, so we have to convert this into the straight line equation. We know what is straight line equation. That is y is equal to the mx plus c. Y is equal to mx plus c is a straight line equation. And here x is the length on the x direction, and y is the length on the y direction, and m is the slope, and c is the intercept. C is the intercept. No? So this is the straight line equation. And here, in order to convert this equation, into straight line equation, we have to apply the natural logarithm. So when we apply because here we have the small e, so that's why we have to apply the natural logarithm. So on applying the natural logarithm, what happens? It becomes what is it? Natural logarithm ln neta is equal to the natural logarithm ln a plus e by rt. E by rt. E means here activation energy. So this can be this equation can be written in another way like this also. Here a dash is equal to nothing but what is that? R ln a by r, that is known as the here a dash. So in the place of a dash, here we can write ln a by r. ln ln a by r. Okay, na? So like this we can write, and e by r is called as the e dash. E by r is called as the e dash. So like that we can use the first equation or the second equation, and if we measure the activation energy at different temperatures by drawing a graph for the ln neta and the 1 by t, we can find out the LNA value. So if we know the ln value, we can find out the ln n. So like that we can find out the y, the viscosity coefficient changes with the temperature, and we can find out the activation energy also, and we can find out the What is that? Viscosity coefficient. Here, m by et, m is equal to e by t. That means here, sorry, not e by t, e by r. E by r value tells us it can be find out by using the actuation, what is the slope. The slope of the curve dy by dx. Slope can be defined as the, we know what is slope, no? Slope is dy by dx. That means but m. This m gives us the e by r value. E by r value. So, like that we can easily find out. Otherwise, we can write the viscosity coefficient in another way like this also. Look here. At the temperature to T2. At the temperature T2, if the coefficient, this is the graphical method, and now we go for the equational method. So here, without, in order to know the viscosity coefficient or A value or the actuation energy, without using any graph, we have to know the viscosity coefficient at the two different temperatures. For example, look here. Viscosity coefficient neta 1 at the temperature T1 and ln2 neta 2 is the viscosity coefficient of the liquid at the temperature T2. So we have tried the equation 1 and equation 2, and on comparing these two equations we get this one. Ln neta 1 upon neta 2 is equal to the E dash is equal to T2 minus T1 by T1 by T2. So actually this equation is very much similar to the Arrhenius equation only. So like this also we can find out the viscosity coefficient of the liquids, okay na, at the different temperatures, Now we go for the effect of the pressure on the viscosity. When the pressure is increased, the volume decreases, no? So the number of the holes also decreases. So when the pressure decreases, the number of the molecules come close to each other, no? So viscosity increases. So when the pressure is increased, viscosity also increases due to the decrease in the number of the holes. So that point is very important. We would remember. And now some relations are also find out between the viscosity and the constitution of the compounds. For example, by using the viscosity, we can find out the roughly we can estimate the number of the CH2 units present in the organic compounds. CH2 units. Okay, we can measure the CH2 units like this. Methylene groups. CH2 units means nothing but methylene groups. So, Dunstan, a scientist known as the Dunstan, proposed a equation in order to show the relation between the structure. Dunstan, the name of the scientist is the Dunstan. He proposed this equation to show the relation between the structure and the viscosity coefficient of the molecules. Here small d is the density and m is the molecular weight and neta is the viscosity coefficient, no? So he found that for the associated molecules the value is greater than the 60, and for the non-associated molecules he found that the value of the equation is here what not, it is not the value of the coefficient, it is the value of the what is that equation, value of the equation is greater than the 60 and here it is lesser than the 60. So water associated molecules that we know very well: water, glycerol, glycol, sulfuric acid, acetic acid, all these are associated molecules. Why they are associated molecules means they have hydrogen bonds in them. as a result, they become associated molecules. For example, look here. um, in water, so look here, minus and plus. So some hydrogen bonds are present, no? So due to this strong attraction forces, they become associated liquids. So for the associated liquids, the Dunstan equation value is more than 60. And for the non-associated molecules liquids, the liquids in which non-associated molecules are present is less than the 60. What are non-associated liquids? Let us have a look. They are nothing but acetone, benzene, and toluene. So for this value, for these liquids, the equation value is lesser than 16. So like that, by using the viscosity concept, we can try to have an idea about the constitution or the structure of the organic compounds. Thank you.